Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be setting up my February bullet journal pages in my A5 Archer and Olive dot grid journal. Strap in if you didn't notice, this video is quite a bit longer than my videos typically are, and that's because I had about 4 hours of footage from this setup. Today I'm using the red and pink glitter gel pens from Jelly Roll and my Tombow Foodanesque brush tip hard tip pen and my trusty Sharpie Ash Gel in 0.38. I wanted to do something vaguely Valentine's-y, you know, pink and red and glitter and all that, to kind of get away from the more muted tones that I had in the setup and then in January, but I knew I wanted it to be bright and vibrant and happy to look at, but I didn't want to do something super traditionally Valentine's-y, so I was kind of stuck on what I was going to do. But I am going to Vegas in February this year to celebrate a family member's birthday, and so I decided, why not do like a Vegas theme? And then I thought, well, I can do, you know, there's hearts in the cards and they're red and black, but I have seen some playing card decks where they use pink instead of black for the spades and the clubs. And so that's basically what I decided to do. I had like a debit card, you know, thing, and I used that as the size shape guide for the actual playing cards and traced those in, and then just set up, you know, this set. And then for accents, because cards wasn't going to be enough, I also did dice, because that's like a super simple cube shape, you know, you can draw that with like a ruler, and some chips. I tried to use my circle graph for the chips. I did use the circle graph for the chips, but they by far were the most frustrating thing about this, and most of the time spent tracing this was trying to get the right inner circle, outer circle, poker chip ratio. I'm still not super sure that I'm in love with them yet, but it is what it is, and overall, at least you can tell what they are, so good enough for me. Another reason this setup is super long is because everything is filled in with a pretty fine tip gel pen, so a lot of it is just coloring. Yeah, so it took about 4 hours of actual film and probably about 2 hours of sketching, so altogether this setup took me about 6 hours. The other downfall, I guess, is gel pen does take a bit of time to dry, so on this first cover page I wasn't thinking about that too much, particularly with coloring in the symbols on those aces, and I smudged a couple of them and it frustrated me, so I then had to take even more time to wait for things to draw and to figure out the most time effective order of things, starting from the left because I'm right-handed, so that as I was going I was letting the other stuff dry. So I end up getting a better handle on that on the future pages, but you know, if you're considering recreating this at all or using gel pens, my tip today is start from whichever side you don't write on so that it can dry as you go in that other direction. I think looking back after having the pages set up, I'm happy with how they looked, but I do wonder if I wouldn't love it even more if I had eliminated the pink glitter and just done red and black. I've done some red and black themes before. I've done the Phantom of the Opera theme from January last year, and then my setup pages were red and black as well, and I think it's really effective, but I also find that those setups that are black and red oh, and then of course, you know, the Poe theme from October last year. Those videos are up on my channel. If you're interested in watching them, you can find all of those as well. But I find that the black and red just seems to be more, it's not really Valentine's-y. When you add the black in with the red, anyway, I thought that it would be a little bit too crime scene-esque, I don't know how to really describe what I'm thinking here, but it just didn't feel like it would have been a true nod to Valentine's Day if I didn't include the pink, if that makes sense. But I do think that it might have looked better aesthetically if I had used the black for the cards and incorporated the pink glitter somewhere else, you know. And then of course I fill in the empty space with just little doodles, and then actually one of my favorite elements, if not my favorite element of the entire setup, is you start to see me adding the little sparkles, and then I add little hearts, and then I decide to add little clubs and spades as well. So it's almost like a Suits confetti across the page, which I'm actually super happy with how that ends up looking at the end. But it kind of occurs to me after the fact. So in the meantime, over to the quote page, another deck of cards. So the suit on the right is like, you know, 4 aces with a king. The one on the left is flush. I don't think it's a royal flush because it's not all in the same suit, but just to give some more different cards so it's not just all aces, basically. And then with my word of the year being embrace, the quote that I chose, I wanted it to be something related to like taking chances, you know, embracing risk, because it's Vegas, you know, you're gambling, it's what it is. So I chose take the risk or lose the chance for my quote, just kind of tying the Vegas theme to my word of the year, embrace. And then I do think, even though this looks pretty intimidating, the main things here are just, you know, having a debit card or some other kind of, you know, like library card or even your ID or something. Having a card that you can use to give you a really crisp shape for the cards themselves. Having a ruler so you can make the dice be very crisp as well, those clean edges, is really, this is not a difficult theme to recreate. You know, it's letters. The shapes for the suits in a deck of playing cards are very easy to draw. Even if they're not 100% perfect, they're going to be iconically recognizable. So if you aren't really sure what to do for any month, a Vegas theme or a playing cards theme or even just a game theme that incorporates some of those dice and card elements, super simple, very effective, and there's just a million ways that you can do a theme like this. And it might take a while because of like all the little details and the you know, taking the extra time to be very accurate with those lines, but very worth it in the end, I think. So like I said, I'm going to Vegas in February with family for a birthday, but I'm arriving, because of the cost of flights, I'm arriving a few days before anyone else, and I'm actually staying a couple days longer than anyone else. So if you have any tips on cool things to do in Vegas, you know, things that aren't super touristy, a little bit off the beaten path, those are the kind of things that I tend to enjoy more. I know that there is a ghost town out near, I think it's Henderson, Nevada. I know that there are some museums around town, the Wax Museum. I know that I think there's a Titanic museum where they have some of the artifacts from the Titanic in there. I'm super into like morbid, tragic history stuff, so I'm assuming Vegas, as a as a gold mining town originally, has lots of cool haunting stories and things like that to check out. But a couple really quick Google searches didn't really yield too many results. So if you have any tips or ideas, definitely let me know in the comments what I need to check out. I'm also down for like the best foods. Living in Virginia but being from California, I definitely miss some of that really great Mexican food. So point me in those good directions, guys. I need tips on what to do. So now here you can see me starting to add in the suits confetti, and I just really think that filling in all those white spaces is what makes this theme really pop, particularly the little baby black ones, because that dark contrast of the black against the pink and the red just makes them stand out so much, and I love the way that it looks in the end. Moving on to the calendar, no real surprises here. It's 5x5 boxes, Monday through Sunday. Same elements as the initial page on this page as well. I knew that I wanted to do dice as placeholders for the days of the week that we weren't going to be using. So I kept all the boxes there, and I just marked off the 1st and the 28th so that visually I would not accidentally make dice out of the wrong squares. One thing with February though, with it usually only having 28 days, is that really this is a month where you don't have to worry about having like 5 or 6 boxes. So you could make these boxes longer if you wanted to. Like this would be the month to do a 5x6 in an A5 journal instead of a 5x5. Or if you don't care about having as much room for decoration, you can even do a 6x6. February is the one month that you really can get away with that in an A5. But yeah. My favorite element on this page is the cards, just because they're kind of coming out everywhere. And then on the left-hand side, I chose to do a pair of 8s, because in my hometown in California, there was, it's not there anymore, it's been moved to a different city, but there was a sushi restaurant and a teppanyaki place where they cook on the flat top in front of you and they do all the crazy like volcano things, and it's great fun, and it's one of my favorite places. They had like this, they could make the fried rice spicy and it was amazing. Anyway, I digress. It was called Pocket 8s because the owner of the restaurant had won like the World Poker Championships, and I think his winning hand was a pair of Pocket 8s, and so that's what he called the restaurant. He built it back up in the hometown. He was from where I was from. Now that restaurant is called something else, and it's in a town an hour away, but it's owned by the same guy. It's a lot of the same food, so but it was very successful, and so I chose to leave a nod to him in here with that pair of Pocket 8s. Again, you can see like I'm trying really hard not to mess up those circles with the black, So it took a long time. I actually did this over, I think, 3 days, because I sat down to film. I filmed for a good 3 hours one day, and then I filmed on my lunch break at work because I work from home. I filmed on my lunch break at work across 2 other days to get all the pages done for a total of 4 hours of footage. So there may be some lighting changes, but I couldn't, my hand was done after 3 hours of this on that first day. I could not keep up with it and finish it out. So I got up and went and did other things. Moving on to the monthly log, I started incorporating this in January, and I am really enjoying having this kind of format rather than like a goals section on the calendar page. Just having everything in a list here, and able to be writing events and bills and things like that here versus on the calendar has been really helpful for me. Also, being able to see what's coming up and then assigning tasks and putting all my goals in one place has been great. I definitely use this page more than the calendar page, generally speaking. But I think that the calendar page in this setup is probably my favorite spread that I created just aesthetically. But this one is much more useful to me. Being my own worst critic once again, the chips are not my favorite element in this setup. It's just very difficult to get a perfectly round, even thing. But they're recognizable, and I am good with leaving it at that. And then just to make the weekend days stand out, I did the weekend days in red glitter gel pen, where the weekdays are just the black, I think the Sharpie S gel pen. And I did find that I enjoyed the colored dice with the black dots better than the black dice with the colored dots. You can also just leave the dice white and just color in the dots with either colors or black, and that would also be very effective. But I am really bad about wanting things to be colored in. And then my Tombow was giving me just a little bit of issues with bending while I was writing the headers on this page. So the S's came out a little wonky, but I ended up doing some thickening, like faux calligraphy font with it. Not really calligraphy because it's not cursive, but just thickening those downstroke areas to make it look more intentional. And then this diamond here, the Archer and Olive paper is super thick. It's 160 GSM, but for this diamond here with the gel pen, even though I only went in one layer over it, it did kind of warp the page a little bit, you can see there. And I haven't really had that happen with Archer and Olive notebooks before. So I definitely made it a point later on in the setup, whenever I was doing a big block of gel pen, not to do it all at once, just to kind of give the smaller areas time to dry before adding to them so that that wouldn't happen. And then this of course is my habit tracker and my line a day. I did an anxiety tracker for January, but since I do have this trip coming up, I wanted more of a line a day, journal log thing instead. So this one is just going to be like what I'm doing that day and things that happened. And then because it's a dice and I wanted to do it that way, I made the habit trackers just 5 instead of 6. I don't think with this trip coming up I'm going to have the option to track the same habits. I'm not going to have no spend days while I'm in Vegas. I'm probably not going to have too many healthy eating days while I'm in Vegas, to be honest. So I felt like I could go with just 5 habits for the month instead, and then kind of give it that like dice, like the 5 side of the dice. we are on the last spread that I'm doing for this monthly setup. It is my brain dump spread, and in this specific month, a Vegas spread. So I wanted to have a place to write down like specific memories, or maybe put some stickers, just like I did on my trip to California last year. I wanted a place to kind of record my Vegas trip for memories keeping here. And I just made each page like a card with the name at the top and the symbols in the corner, and then I add a bit more of that confetti around those symbols, and that'll basically be it. We are approaching the final flip through, so I do want to take this opportunity. I know it's a longer than usual video. If you've made it this far, definitely go ahead and give this video a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I usually only have one video a month come out, so I'm not going to be inundating you with a ton of content. There's already everything I could post about. There's already videos out there for that. I just want to share what I'm creating for my personal use with you guys. And then if something really awesome happens, like an Archer and Olive sub box that's super awesome comes out, I'll share that as well. But yeah, so feel free to subscribe and check out my other videos if you're looking for other inspiration. I haven't been doing YouTube that long. I think it's been like two years now. I think this month in February, I think my very first ever setup on YouTube was February 2021. So yes, let me know if this theme is something that you would recreate, if you would change anything about it, which spread was your favorite. And I am super excited about my trip, super excited about these pages. And I just wanted to end out by saying I hope you guys are having a great 2023 so far, and I will see you guys in the next video.